Clint Eastwood, the iconic actor and director who rose from humble beginnings to conquer Hollywood, however, behind the steely gaze and unwavering on-screen presence lies a lifestyle marked via worry from a youth disrupted by means of common moves to the mental toll of early profession struggles. Eastwood's journey turned into a ways from easy. He endured anxiety attacks, a devastating plane crash, and the heartbreaking loss of his father. But amidst these challenges, he cast a legacy, as one in every of cinema's most celebrated figures did, Clint Eastwood. Turbulent beyond shape the legend he have become. Watch until the quit to discover the untold story on May 31st, 1000. 930 little Clint Eastwood entered the arena at St. Francis Hospital in San Francisco, surprising the nurses with a hefty 11 lb weight, earning him the nickname Samson. His parents, Clinton Sr. and Ruth, née Runner, boasted a family tree with English, Scottish, Dutch, German, and Irish roots. Clint even had a Mayflower passenger, somewhere again in his ancestry. Later, a younger sister, Jean Bernhard, joined the circle of relatives throughout. The 30s, Clint's dad struggled to preserve down a constant process. He attempted his hand as a salesman and even dabbled as a detective in San Francisco. It became a decade of constant moves for the Eastwoods. However, via 1940 they located stability in affluent Piedmont, California overlook, the once Depression-era tales Clint sometimes drops. The Eastwoods have been residing, quite simply, with a swimming pool, country club, and all the perks. Unluckily, school was in Clint's robust in shape, held lower back in Piedmont Junior High. Because of poor grades, he become forced to play catch-up with summer classes. His rebellious streak sincerely flared up at Piedmont Excessive School, that obscene message scrawled on the scoreboard. The flaming effigy at the college lawn, those stunts were given him kicked out in quick order. Oakland Technical High supplied a sparkling begin-well sort of teachers, saw a spark of expertise, and pushed him closer to faculty. Performs, however, Clint truly wasn't interested. He turned into fast motors ladies and honing his hobbies, like tennis and golfing. Even as he could have been a decent basketball participant, Clint favored solo pursuits. He labored on vehicle engines, even learned about plane protection, and became so skilled at the piano that a friend recalls his fingers actually bleeding from practice. However, commencement. A large question mark. Statistics are fuzzy, and buddies like Fritz Muzz consider he truly dropped out to chase an awesome time elsewhere. Together with his father relocating to Seattle in early 1949, Clint determined a temporary home with his buddy Harry Pendleton in Oakland. Then a stroke of success, an invite to a Malibu celebration wherein he met movie director Howard Hawks, a first-rate turning point in his existence. But before Hollywood, there has been actual work logging in Springfield, Oregon, a stint as a lifeguard, once you have his Red Cross certification, or even gambling. Ragtime piano in an Oakland bar, speak approximately a wild begin, did uncooked skills, and lucky breaks pave his direction course, or was destiny guiding him all alongside? Maintain watching, things are about to get a whole lot greater. Interesting, the Korean War drafted Clint Eastwood into the Navy in 1951. However, rather than battlefields, he landed at Fort Ord, California. His task? Swimming teacher, safe gig, right? However, fate has a manner of shaking matters up. September 30th, 1951, hitched a trip back to base from Seattle. Seems it is a jinxed flight, terrible climate right off the bat. Then things get virtually bad. The aircraft's return door flies open. Clint rigs a makeshift restoration, but the radios and oxygen device reduce out speak. Approximately a nightmare situation. Matters surely hit the fan. While the fuel runs dry, misplaced within the fog miles from the California coast, the pilot has no desire but to ditch the aircraft. Sharks are an actual threat here, however. Clint and the pilot inflate rafts and desperately start paddling closer to shore. The sea fights them. Waves overturn Clint's raft, forcing him to swim a grueling 2-4 miles, relying on who is telling the tale right. Here's where his Army gig becomes life or dying bear. In mind that swimming instructor task, it would simply be what offers him the threshold to survive. This exhausted and disoriented Clint battles hallucinations in the bioluminescent water, but some way he makes it aori, stumbling into an RCA radio station cold. And taken aback, he reunites with the pilot who amazingly additionally survived years later. Clint stars in Breakout from Alcatraz. He performs Frank Morris, an inmate escaping the infamous island prison by audaciously swimming across the frigid San Francisco Bay. Art imitating lifestyles looks like escaping loss of life. Gave Clint the grit that makes his on-screen escape so completely believable. But today, the Army life is all paintings Clint has aspect hustle at a sugar agency to boost his measly $60-67 a month pay. Plus, there's that rumored romance with an officer's daughter. True connections never harm. Even then, a journey to Carmel sparked something in him one day. I'd like to live here. His military friends encompass men like Richard Long and Martin Milner. Destiny TV stars, the 70s and early 1980s, noticed Clint Eastwood alternate his spurs for a awful bee and bite the dusty plains for city streets. This era brought Dirty Harry, the long-lasting San Francisco cop who wasn't afraid to bend the rules to get his man. The subject of the rogue with a badge continued in movies like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot and The Gauntlet, where the strains among morality and legality blurred. Eastwood additionally showed his comedic side with the Every Which Way movies. Offering his orangutan associate Clyde, this period ended with the chilling Escape from Alcatraz, wherein Clint proved his acting prowess wasn't restrained to heroes he may want to play. A determined convict simply as convincingly whilst making the 1975 thriller The Eiger-sanctioned tragedy struck. The movie group experienced mountain climber David Knowles, operating as a stunt double, changed into wished for a few more shots of a mountaineering series. He teamed up with fellow climber Mike Hoover to complete the venture. They effectively received the photos, but disaster followed and surprising rock slide dispatched a boulder hurtling towards the guys as they stood on a ledge. Mike Hoover was critically injured with a fracture, even as David Knowles tragically lost his lifestyles, a chilling element. The terrible scene reflected one the crew had filmed just days earlier. Then one of the surviving climbers described the surprise, announcing, "We flew up to that same vicinity and there was the scene that we have been faking for 2 days." Dave Knowles striking, useless on the give up of the rope. It turned into unbelievable fable and truth. Come head-on, the news devastated Clint Eastwood. He felt accountable for the loss of life and turned into crushed, with the aid of grief almost forsaking the complete task, but his crew know how. The inherent dangers of filmmaking urged him to maintain, believing it became the pleasant way to honor David Knowles' reminiscence and dedication. The 1980s and early 1990s brought a shift in Eastwood's characters. They were not just hard anymore. They had been careworn in Firefox. He performed a pilot haunted by using PTSD, while tight RPP saw him as a cop affected by the killer he pursues. Eastwood's characters battled no longer just external villains, but additionally their personal inner demons. This theme endured inside The Rookie, wherein his obsession with a case endangered those around him, and White Hunter Blackheart, where a movie director had become fixated on an elephant hunt. Unforgiven marked the pinnacle of this era. Clint returned to his Western roots, but this time as a haunted ex-outlaw. Grappling with his violent past, the 2000s and beyond brought us the technology of the grumpy Clint Eastwood. We see him in Space Cowboys, as an aged astronaut, in the end getting his long-awaited shot at space travel in Bloodwork. He's a retired profiler whose health struggles prevent him as he hunts a killer. However, Eastwood honestly reached peak coup repay in films like Million Duel Toddler, in which he plays a reluctant boxing teacher, and Gran Torino, where a racist veteran unearths redemption in a surprising manner. His brand new film, Cry Macho, maintains the topic of the grumpy old guy, this time as a weathered horseman on a journey through rural Mexico. Clint Eastwood's personal existence is as dramatic as any movie he's directed. His first marriage to Maggie Johnson in 1953 appeared to mark a choice for stability. While first of all hesitant about settling down, Eastwood took the plunge, however. The home bliss quickly waned, restlessness crept in, and extramarital affairs became a routine theme. The primary outcome of this philandering lifestyle changed into a daughter, Lori Murray, born from a mystery affair and positioned for adoption without Eastwood's expertise. Years later, some other affair resulted inside the birth of Kimberly L. No matter Maggie's recognition of those transgressions, the couple remained collectively for a time, even welcoming their own youngsters, Kyle and Allison, into the sector. But the cracks inside the facade have been growing wider. By 1979, rumors of Eastwood's involvement with co-star Sandra Locke swirled, leading to the couple's very last separation. The outcomes of Eastwood's romantic selections extended a ways past the headlines. Kimber Eastwood's courting with her father has been a source of conflicting narratives at times. She's described a robust bond, while on different activities she's spoken of feeling neglected and pissed off, even claiming to have pleaded for a more in-depth courting. The story of Lori Murray provides every other layer of complexity to Eastwood's private records. Adopted as a infant, Lori Simplest located her organic father inside the 1990s through a non-public investigator, whilst Eastwood welcomed her after she reached out. It remains unclear whether he ever actively searched for her or genuinely by no means knew of her life before her revelation. Eastwood's affair with stuntwoman Roxanne Tunis commenced on the set of Rawhide. It lasted a mentioned 14 years and ended in daughter Kimber, even though Eastwood claims he, to start with, didn't recognize she became his. This pattern of preserving his kids a secret would repeat itself later. Sandra Locke entered the photo in 1972, although Eastwood became nonetheless with Johnson and Locke together with her youth buddy. In a platonic marriage, their on-set chemistry and the outlaw Josie Wales become a passionate but tumultuous relationship. Locke alleged that Eastwood, towards his dreams, forced her into having abortions and a two-ball ligation. This toxic dynamic lasted a decade and led to ugly court cases claiming fraud and damage guarantees on Eastwood's element. While Locke became nevertheless within the image, Eastwood met flight attendant Jacelyn Reeves. Their fling resulted in children, Scott and Catherine. Around the identical time, he,